We are headed into a week where we have a ton of updates happening around the regulatory and legislative side of crypto, and we are going to be talking about it. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. If we take a look at what happened on the 5th, we do see Ripple CLO slams US authority over crypto regulation approach. Now, if you guys have been watching the videos lately, then you know about the major .0 forum event that just happened. This was one of the big ones to really kind of look at because this did have the CFTC there as well. This is the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. The CFTC is one of the bigger, in my opinion, regulatory bodies around crypto than the SEC. But here we have the state of global digital asset regulation navigating opportunities in an evolving landscape. And some of the key individuals that were speaking here, as you guys do see down here, you can see some of the major speakers. You had Deputy Governor of the Bank of Italy, you had the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the Commissioner, Caroline D. Pham there. You also had the member of the European Parliament, also the Bank of Thailand as well, the Deputy Governor. So some very prominent names there. Now, I strongly encourage everyone to join the free Discord. There's going to be a link at the top of the description below. This is one of the most valuable and informative Discords out there, and it's completely free. There's a free side that has a ton of free crypto gems, free market strategies, guides, market trends, free charts, and there's also going to be new cheat sheets dropped in this Discord. And already, we have a ton of testimonials from members of the Discord that have been absolutely loving it. So what are you waiting for? Go and click the link at the top of the description below and join the free Discord. There was also some other discussions that did include, of course, Brad Garlinghouse, as you guys do see there, around Digital Asset 2.0 innovation in Crypto Spring. But then you also had Stuart Alradi. Now, his panel was Mastering the Maze, Implementing Global Digital Asset Regulations. Now, if we actually look at this image, it was not only Stuart Alradi, but it was a few other individuals, like, for an example, Chief Legal and Compliance Officer at Fireblocks, General Counsel at Binance. We had a few other ones as well, like Paxos, Crypto.com, and even the Stellar Development Foundation. Now, what we do see here from Stuart Alradi is thanks to .0 Forum for organizing this great panel in Zurich this past week. As I explained, good regulation, when consistently applied, leads to predictable results. Unfortunately, the US fails that test miserably compared to its global counterparts. So, really just kind of throwing the US under the bus, because as we really look at what the US has been doing, they have been falling behind. They've been failing miserably, or at least that's what everyone is looking at, right? But I do believe that what we are witnessing is very similar to the internet, where we started to see Europe really kind of leading the path, and then all of a sudden everyone else jumped on board. And even more recently with MiCA coming into place, and now we are seeing new regulations coming out. For an example, on July 5th, we got crypto exchanges subject to EU travel rule in 6 months. New EU regulations mandate crypto exchanges to comply with travel rule guidelines, enhancing AML/CFT CFT measures starting December 30th. So this is going to be a very interesting one, and we could actually hear from the EU Banking Authority. The EBA has just published new guidelines on the information that should accompany transfers of funds and certain crypto assets. So they are really kind of pushing and drafting this as they go. And I do believe that by the end of this year, there is going to be a lot of major pieces to MiCA beyond what we already know about MiCA and what we already see around MiCA as well. So this is going to probably be that guideline that is utilized around global crypto regulatory frameworks, because think about it, we can't have regulations be different in Europe and then be different in the US and so forth. We need this to be fully harmonized. We want to make sure that this is a fully harmonized approach, because we cannot have fragmentation through regulation. Now, beyond this, big week ahead, and also confirmation of some pretty big things. Let's jump into it. Here we have from Radar Hits, just in, regulators are deliberately debanking the crypto industry, says former Obama Solicitor General. Now, Listen, we've been talking about the debanking. We've been talking about Operation Choke Point 2.0 for a while. A lot of people back in 2023 said, there's no way that this is happening. It's a conspiracy theory. Yeah, sure, the SEC is overstepping their boundaries, but there's no, major war against crypto. And then guess what? By the end of 2023, everyone knew about it. And here we have, despite the digital asset industry's pressing need for banking services, federal regulators have waged a concerted, coordinated campaign to debank the industry. And this is from Donald Verrilli. Now, Eleanor Tourette was the first one to really kind of post this. As you guys do see, she did get tagged here. And this is actually her post over here regarding it. And we could actually see a quote here. This is debanking has left industry participants like Custodia with fewer banking options. And here we have, despite the digital asset industry's pressing need for banking services, federal regulators have waged a concerted, coordinated campaign to debank the industry. And this is 100% happening. And we have that effort is central to a complaint recently filed against the FDIC by an affiliate of Coinbase. And this is Custodia Bank. Now, beyond this, if we go up here, we could see really Obama's Solicitor General, who was in office during the original Operation Choke Point, and Clement, which is Bush's Solicitor General, have clashed over a number of Supreme Court cases over the years, but the pair have come together to support Custodia Bank and the crypto industry by extension in its case against the Federal Reserve. This is yet another indication of the changing political landscape around crypto. It's gaining more bipartisan support heading into the November election. And 100%, this is only going to continue to heat up in a very large way. Because if we really look at what is going on right now around crypto, no nation can afford to fall behind when it comes to innovation. Now, what about this week? What's going on this week around crypto, around the regulatory side of things and the legislative things? Well, as we do look at what's going on around, MiCA and these major discussions, and even more recently, what's been happening around Operation Choke Point 2.0, it's putting a lot of pressure and a big spotlight on some very large problems. And now this week, we have some great updates happening around crypto, specifically in Washington, and this is from Eleanor Tourette as well. We have some notable events in Washington for crypto peeps to keep an eye on this week. Wednesday, Senate Agriculture Committee's oversight of digital commodities hearing with CFTC Meeting at 10 a.m. We also have, this is a Dem Crypto Roundtable with Mark Cuban, White House peeps, and industry leaders. Thursday, Senate hearing for Biden's renomination of SEC Gov Commissioner Caroline Crenshaw and new FDIC Gov nominee for Chair Christy Goldsmith Romero, who is currently a CFTC Commissioner. Also, Kristen Johnson to be an Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Treasury, and Gordon Ido to be a member of the Financial Stability Oversight Council. Expect some questions on the agency's approaches to digital assets in this hearing. And yeah, we'll probably see some discussions happening around the SEC, even the FDIC with, of course, Operation Choke Point 2.0 with Custodia Bank, because remember that the FDIC is getting complaints now behind this. So I do think that this is definitely going to be brought up in question. And of course, the U.S. Treasury, we know that the U.S. Treasury has been involved with some pretty big names. We know that Ripple met with them, so did Stellar, and I believe Chainlink and Circle. But outside of that, we also have adding a possible House vote to overturn POTUS's SAB 121 veto on Tuesday or Wednesday. Would need a 2-3 majority on it. And yes, that could be very interesting as well if that does get overturned. If that does get overturned, guess what? Expect some major fireworks around the space, because we've been talking about SAB 121 for a little bit of time on this channel, and it could be a game changer. Now, let's talk about a few things, because as we look at a lot of these heavy discussions, what is one agency that comes up in conversation around regulations, legislation, all that kind of stuff? Well, it's the CFTC. And we know at Point Zero Forum, there was a lot of discussions happening around the CFTC. Well, let's go to Caroline DePam, who is a CFTC commissioner. We have the next stop on my learning tour was visiting Ripple Labs. Thanks, Brad Garlinghouse. And this is back in September of 2022. This is right before FTX, right? And why is the CFTC meeting with Ripple at their headquarters while Ripple is in the middle of a lawsuit? Makes you wonder, right? Well, although that this was September of 2022, we have July of 2023. The US regulatory clarity has begun in court after Ripple win. CFTC Commissioner Caroline Pham says, recent court opinions around digital assets and securities are a first step to crypto regulatory clarity. So the XRP case was the first step in achieving regulatory clarity. This is from the CFTC. Now, let's fast forward a little bit to December of last year. Caroline Pham supported regulation at the CFTC. The CFTC commissioner, in a year marked by an aggressive, sometimes arbitrary regulatory enforcement, stood out as an accommodator of innovation in the crypto sector. This was not a good year for relations between crypto companies and regulators. Gary Gensler's aggressive approach to enforcement at the Securities and Exchange Commission, which included major investigations of course, major exchanges, rankled an industry that complained about arbitrary rulemaking and arbitrary justice. But not all regulators on the crypto beat struck an antagonistic posture. One who stood out was Caroline D. Pham, a commissioner at the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, who proposed a time-limited pilot program at the CFTC to regulate crypto markets and tokenization that was noticeably more friendly to industry needs. So they're already kind of, preparing regulations on the back end, putting things together, but it's also the fact that they are aware of what the SEC is doing, but they can't really do much right now. It's just like Congress talking about how bad of a job Gary Gensler and the SEC are doing, but they're doing absolutely nothing to get him out of office. Like even around FTX, right, with the subpoena that he was supposed to get handed by Congress, nothing really happened of that. So it was just basically like a big show, essentially. So as we do look at this, right, I'm more so looking at what the CFTC is doing, though, because I do believe that they are going to be one of the biggest names around this. But also, what about the FSB, which we will get to here in a second. But here we have more recently, January 16th of this year, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse will be taking the stage alongside CFTC Commissioner Caroline D. Pham at Bloomberg House on Tuesday at 4:20 p.m. in Davos for Crypto at a Crossroads, Future-Proofing Digital Assets. So it seems as though this relation between, Ripple and the CFTC continued on from 2022 to even now. And I do question, what's really going on behind the scenes? Is Ripple working with the US? Is this SEC, case just one big show, which I did, allude to on many cases. But I do think that as we look at Ripple, I think that they're tying the knot when it comes to a lot of these other agencies, because I think even Ripple realizes that although, the SEC and Gary Gensler they're on a warpath, after this year, I don't think that the SEC and Gary Gensler are going to be a problem anymore. I think that we're going to start to see more progressive approaches on regulations, especially with MiCA now being in place. But beyond that, let's talk about that real quick. So we have over here from Subjective Views, the Financial Stability Board. Again, this is the FSB. It is the organization that I keep telling you guys to watch for. This is the chair of the Financial Stability Board. Has come forward with two sets of recommendations, one set of recommendations for a global regulatory framework for crypto assets and crypto asset activities, and another one for global stablecoin arrangements. Check this out.
Just one more area before I think we should also draw in a little bit of the audience. And that, is, of course, has to do with digital currencies and particularly crypto currencies. That's another area where in today's world, I believe you can take a server under your arm to any place in the world, you plug into the internet, and you can start issuing crypto assets. So the FSB has come forward with two sets of recommendations. One set of recommendations for a global regulatory framework for crypto assets and crypto asset activities, and another one for global stablecoin arrangements. But of course, the strength of these recommendations will only be decided by the scope of its implementation. If we allow non-cooperative jurisdictions to continue to function and attract these crypto asset activity, then probably we will not be able to deliver on the goals that we've set ourselves in this area. And I think this is one more area where we have to make sure that whatever is happening in the world, that we try to fight each other at the FSB table, and that we come to a common understanding that we have enough information sharing across countries. Because in many of the emerging markets, you're well aware of the concerns that, for instance, US dollar denominated global stablecoins would take over part of the payment system in these countries. That's, I think, a concern that we should take very, very, very seriously.
So beyond that, we also have over here that he is, a member of the governing council and the general counsel of the ECB as well. Member of the European Systemic Risk Board, member of the International Monetary Fund's Board of Governors, and a member of the Board of Directors of the BIS. So not only is he on the chair of the FSB, this is one of the most prominent names out there around finance, around banking, and he's literally telling you, like, listen, we need to make sure that we have these harmonized approaches to stablecoin and even crypto regulations, because this is growing. It's becoming a much bigger market. We need to make sure that we are behind this. We need to make sure that we know what's going on. Anyone can set up a computer anywhere in the world and start issuing out tokens. So yeah, regulations, this is one of the biggest focus points for me as well, because you guys know that XRP, guess what? I hate to break it to you guys, but XRP is really not that valuable right now. What is it, 40 cents? What's XLM? What's HBAR? What's QNT? Like, these assets in the space that have these valuations that are sitting at, X or so dollars or cents, guess what? That's not the real value of them. That's not the utility side of them. Utility means nothing until we have regulations. So this is like a ticking time bomb that we're just waiting for it to erupt out into this market, bring about that major change that we're waiting for. And then guess what? Now we have regulations in place. Utility, opportunities can to really start to not only be adopted, but utilize that scale, which will lead to the underlying asset of those networks to really, go up in value and become very valuable as well. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.